What if I told you that things like fate, luck, and even astrology aren't just superstition? What if they're actually a forgotten branch of physics? In this explainer, we're going to decode some of that ancient wisdom, but through the lens of modern science, and look at a framework that connects the cosmos, well, directly to you.
Okay, let's just dive right in with this, a really provocative idea from our source material. The gods don't have time for you. This is big data. The core idea here is that the forces that shape our lives, luck, fate, destiny, they aren't just the random whims of some divine being. Nope. Instead, they're the predictable, maybe even measurable, outcomes of a huge cosmic system.
All right, so that brings us to our first big idea: gods, data, and physics. We're going to try and reframe these ancient concepts, basically swapping out divine intervention for a model that's built on cosmic data and the laws of physics.
And this right here really gets to the core of it all. On the one hand, you have superstition, the idea that you offended some god named Tai Sui. But on the other hand, you have science. In this model, Tai Sui isn't a god. It was the ancient name for the planet Jupiter. And a clash isn't some divine curse. It's a physical event, what we'd call destructive wave interference. It's when energy waves literally cancel each other out and create turbulence. See the shift? It's from superstition to science.
I love this analogy the source uses. Believing that angry gods are controlling your fate is kind of like thinking there are little magic elves living inside your smartphone making it work. We know that's silly, right? We understand it's all about physics and signal waves and microprocessors. The argument is that the universe works on very similar scientific principles, even if we can't always see the wiring. Okay, so how does this all work?
Well, to get it, you have to grasp one huge foundational idea in science. The universe isn't just empty space with a bunch of stuff in it. The universe is a field.
I mean, just stop and think about this for a second. How does your phone ring when it's not plugged into anything? It's because you already accept that you are swimming in a sea of invisible energy fields, Wi-Fi, cell signals, radio waves. We live inside these fields every single day.
So this is where we see the big shift in thinking, from old school physics to how we see things now. Classical mechanics, Newton, saw us as these separate, solid objects being pulled on by gravity. But modern quantum mechanics, it completely reframes everything. It sees the universe as this giant interconnected web of vibrating fields. And the key variables aren't just mass and distance anymore, they're frequency and phase. And here's the kicker. In this view, we aren't separate objects. We are part of that vibrating quantum field.
And that leads to a really mind-blowing idea. If we're part of this cosmic field, then something like luck, well, it might actually be based on math. So this section is all about the mechanics of how these cosmic fields could actually influence us.
Check this out. Think about the moon. Its gravity is pretty weak from way out there, right? But it's strong enough to pull on entire oceans and create the tides. Now, your body is over 70% water. So the question is, you really think you're immune to that kind of pull?
Okay, and this is where it gets really cool. The source calls this the vector projection model. It basically says luck isn't random. It's energy projection efficiency. And you can actually describe the influence of a cosmic energy source on you with a simple physics formula. The most important variable in there is theta. That's just the angle between the path you're on and the direction of that cosmic energy. So what does that actually mean? Let's break down that angle theta. When the angle is 0, your path and the cosmic energy are perfectly aligned. That's harmony. Things flow. We'd call that good luck. When the angle is 180 degrees, it's direct opposition. That's conflict. Things are tough. We'd call that bad luck. And at 90 degrees, the forces are pushing against each other sideways, creating friction and waste. Things just feel stuck. It's a geometric reason for why life feels the way it does sometimes.
Okay, so this is all a really neat theory, right? But is there any proof? Well, if this is all based on physics, we should be able to see the math, like encoded, in ancient cosmic maps. And this model argues that we absolutely can.
You all know this symbol, right? The Tai Chi, or Yin-Yang. We see it everywhere. But what if it's not some mystical drawing? What if it's a scientific diagram?
And get ready for this, because this is the big reveal. That S-curve right in the middle, it's not just a pretty design. It is a precise astronomical map. If you put a stick in the ground and trace the path of its shadow's tip for an entire year, it draws that exact S shape. It's called the Solar Analemma. It's a scientific diagram of the changing seasons, all caused by the tilt of the Earth. It's a clock, a cosmic clock.
And check this out. It gets even clearer.
Think about the sun's path across the sky. It's a 360-degree circle, right? Well, Western astrology cuts that circle into 12 slices, the zodiac signs. The Chinese calendar cuts that same circle into 24 slices, the solar terms. It's just math. One Western zodiac sign is the same as 2 Chinese solar terms. They are 2 different rulers measuring the exact same thing.
Okay, that's the big picture. Super cool. But how does this massive cosmic map have anything to do with you personally? Let's bring it all down from the cosmos to the individual.
Well, this is where something called a Basi chart or a birth chart comes in. According to this framework, think of it as a quantum snapshot. It's basically a picture of the solar system's entire energy field, all the planets, all the angles, captured at the exact moment you took your first breath. It's a record of your starting condition.
And you know the whole 5 elements thing? Wood, fire, earth, metal, water? Well, get this. They're not just some mystical idea. They were the ancient names for the 5 planets you can see from Earth with the naked eye. Wood is Jupiter, fire is Mars, earth is Saturn, metal is Venus, and water is Mercury. So when you're looking at an elemental chart, you're actually looking at a planetary chart.
So, okay, when you start to piece all of this together, it gives you a totally new way to look at something like fate.
And this is maybe the biggest takeaway of all. Modern physics doesn't actually debunk these ancient systems. It just gives us a powerful new language of fields and frequencies and vectors to finally understand the precise astronomical patterns that those ancient skywatchers were observing and recording thousands of years ago.
And that leaves us with one last huge question. If fate really is just physics, a system with predictable rules based on angles and frequencies, does that mean you can learn to play the game better? Can you actually engineer your own luck? You know, if you know a big wave is coming, can you learn how to surf it? It's a pretty amazing thing to think about, isn't it?